welcome to Good Game. I'm Bajo.
And I'm Hex.
Each day we are faced with difficult decisions in life and have to live with the consequences, be what they may. Such as, do I really need a 4K screen, Hex, or do I need a 5K one?
Yes, well, tonight we look at two games that really revel in piling on the pressure that comes with difficult choices, starting with our search for truth in Stories, Path of Destinies. Plus, it's the midpoint of a trilogy and the last game was nominated for 3 BAFTAs. We review the banner Saga 2. Oh, the art in that game, Bajo.
Yeah, it's got some sick art. NichBoy also pops in for an apocalyptic first play, and Goose goes to meet a band that reinterprets game music as jazz.
We wanted to try something that was really special to us, so we wanted to try playing video game music because I think it's something that should be shared across the world.
That Mario is pretty sexy with a saxophone, Hex.
Yes, but before all that, can you name the game for this week? Stories, Path of Destinies is a fairy tale RPG all about making choices and finding the truth.
The story is told through a book that can tell the future.
She didn't even try to run. Oh, you left without saying goodbye. Again.
And it's all narrated by one man, voicing all the characters, for a bit of Bastion-style running commentary as you play.
Sometimes we're not a really hated inanimate objects.
Yes, it's a very Wind in the Willows cast of characters too, isn't it? You're the charming ex-pirate fox, Reynaldo, who has stumbled into the role of hero and now it's up to him to stop evil Toad Emperor's plans.
And there's a fairly interesting twist on how this narrative is structured. Each run-through of the story will take a bit less than an hour, but no matter which choices you make, you're pretty much doomed to fail. And then it's back to the start of the book to try again. So it's a bit like a roguelike in that sense.
Yes, but with every failure, you'll learn one of the game's 24 endings, each of which will uncover one of the 4 truths, such as the true motivations of a character. And once you know all of the truths, you can finally make the right decisions and save the day. So at a minimum to finish this game, you'll need to do at least 5 playthroughs.
Yeah, so it's kind of like an RPG take on Groundhog Day. I like that all the choices you make feel like they have real consequence.
That seemed tempting and terribly wrong.
And they don't just all railroad you back into one of a few different storylines. I did struggle a bit with this kind of storytelling though, Hex, because I didn't really connect with the story and I didn't care about the characters or their world quick enough, so I didn't want to explore this multiple times from multiple angles.
I felt that way a little bit on my first playthrough, but as I went through and started to experience things from different perspectives, I actually got quite invested in it. I mean, the actual plot is kind of rubbish, but this is all about the characters, and I found them really charming.
You needed a hero's sword to open it. And the kid was on the other side of the gate. Who let you through?
Promise me you'll take the book to the rebels, or I'm gonna steal your ship.
Plus, it's interesting to see how differently their stories play out based on your choices.
I think the game does have a lot of charm. It's a charming game, but I just need that combat to be better. It's too shallow and basic. Especially on your first playthrough where you mostly fight just one type of enemy and only have a couple of basic moves.
I disagree. I think there was a decent amount of depth. I mean, with each truth you unlock, you get access to a new tier of skills, and there's a variety of swords to swap between, each with different elemental buffs, like setting enemies on fire or healing. And they do throw in new enemy types and combat abilities with each new playthrough, so it does get more interesting.
I don't think it does. I think they really missed the sweet spot with that combat. For example, once I upgraded that ice sword, I could just insta-freeze and shatter whole groups of enemies, so fights were over before they even began.
I danced around the room yelling, oh yeah, that's how we do it.
There's just not enough challenge.
Well, I think maybe they're just aiming it towards a slightly younger audience.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I do really like the concept of this game. I think that's really cool. I just don't think they found the fun. It isn't fun enough. So I'm giving it 2.5.
I found it plenty fun, and I think it was a really interesting take on storytelling, so I'm giving it 3.5.
Maybe you should, I don't know, go to the mountains to have a think. See if maybe you're sure the stone is not all that healthy a thing to keep. I suppose you wanted, Renato said, and poked Lapino in the chest for emphasis. Oh, had he just killed Lapino? Oh, damn it.
Well, he was hosting the show last week, but this week he's in an underground bunker just trying to survive.
Now that's television, Hex. First you're on top and then you're underneath. Here's NichBoy with the first play.
Sheltered is a new survival management game by Unicube and Team 17. Now, the apocalypse has happened, and somehow you and your family survived and found kind of like an abandoned shelter underground. Now you must scavenge for supplies and food and all that sort of good stuff. I'm hoping at some point I'm going to be able to eat my dad, and I hope I can do it in the game as well. Let's take a look. Customized family. Finally! You know, they say that it's the beginning of a slippery slope if I could pick if my child has black hair or blue eyes or horns. Sheltered understands. Alright, customized parent. Let's make this woman called Harold, and her top color will be brown, like her hair. Traits. Hygienic, small eater. That would be helpful. I'm gonna go small eater. And let's just, her stats, logical, well-rounded, violent. Harold is a violent, small-eating woman. What kind of pet? I mean, it's gonna be a dog, but we'll look, of course, there's a stupid cat. A fish? A snake? How did you carry it there? A horse. A horse. I would go dog, because dogs are the best. But this violent, small-eating, deep-sleeping, hyper-bully family definitely owns snakes. Do you want to play the tutorial? Yes, I do, because I don't feel like these guys are gonna gel well. This is a particularly sophisticated shelter. Highlight an object and press right mouse button to interact with. The shelter is powered by a petrol generator. Add fuel to the generator to restore power. Commands will be performed by the currently selected family members shown at the top left of the game screen. Harold! Oh, there's the snake, by the way. Drink water from the water bud. Go drink from the butt. Drink from the butt, Harold. Your goal is to survive for as long as possible. You can explore, expand, maintain the shelter, and keep the family healthy to achieve this. Your next step might be to explore, to build, or to check up on your family. How you survive is up to you. Good luck. That does not feel like enough of a tutorial. I am not prepared. Deborah, I want you to release the snake, and we're just gonna see what happens. Oh shit. The snake is in the ventilation system. Okay, Harold's gonna go outside. I'm really gonna need you to find that snake. Catch the snake. Hazardous material suit. Hey, wait, going into the surface without a hazmat suit can be dangerous to your health. Remember to put one on when going out there, otherwise the effects could be fatal. Why would I remember something that you never told me? Harold, I hope you haven't been exposed for too long. Apparently you have been. Harold is irradiated. Use anti-radiation tablets from the medicine cabinet to cure it. Remember to keep your oxygen filter powered and fixed. Oh my goodness, there's so much to remember here. I need anti-rad tablets right now. Look, Harold, I know you're sick, but I really don't like this defeatist attitude. Feeling okay. Cured of radiation poisoning, standing like Superman. No, Harold, you're coming this way. I need you to get a suit. Take that suit and put that suit on. Is this the water butt? Fix it. Everything's broken. Everything is broken. Ah, you little shit. When nature calls. Looks like somebody needs the toilet. Deborah, I need you to empty your butt. Where is the toilet? Where's the toilet? Can I craft a toilet? Bucket toilet. We'll put it near the snake. Use toilet. She's technically not on the bucket. You are tired. Where do any of you sleep? A stranger has approached your shelter. You can communicate with strangers by answering the intercom. Greetings, I'm looking for sanctuary. Do you grant such things? Automated shelter members will take care of their own hunger, thirst, toilet, tiredness, and hygiene. What is wrong with my family that they can't control that themselves? Okay, so everyone's exhausted. So I guess I need us to craft a bed? Craft an item. A sleeping bag. Let's put that away from the bucket. Okay, so Harold, I'm dying to go to the toilet. Okay, Harold, you can use the bucket. What's that smell? I think somebody needs a shower. I am so stressed out right now. This is worse than just looking after myself. At least I can get it in the bucket. The mums are sick of it, so I've suited them up, and they need to get their violent tendencies worked out in the wasteland somewhere. So let's set up an expedition. Harold and Karen. And so let's go to church. Because godliness is next to just getting away from your kids for a while. There's transmission. Accept transmission. Karen to base. We've stumbled across somebody in this church. Do you want us to try to talk to them? Mom, I think you should approach the strangers. Oh no. Oh, nothing good ever happens at a church. Trade, recruit, bully, or flee. What would these violent women do in this scenario? Attack! Melee. Oh no. Oh. Alright, Harold, finish him off. Yes, in the net. Victory! Harold bulking up, but also a little traumatized by all the violence. There we go. Here we go. Karen not even caring that Harold can barely lift her head. Finally done it. Finally lowered myself to that of an animal. Oh. Honestly, I think that happened when we all started doing it in the bucket. We're gonna leave it there. Okay, so that was Sheltered. Everything kind of went wrong straight away. I felt like we got into the shelter and I figured out how to fix the generator. That everyone got tired and sleepy and thirsty and they wanted to go to the bathroom and I needed to go outside and then someone got irradiated and this all happened on the first day. To me, I feel like that was maybe a little too quick. I needed to learn. Oh my goodness, someone's dead. Who died? Karen? Or are you grieving? Are you dead or grieving? Oh no, Harold's down too. And the kid! I'm looking forward to exploring stuff outside. I feel like there's gonna be a lot more gameplay there, and that map seems really big. It feels like there's a lot of opportunities to interact with other people around that environment. Every time I go to say something, the family dies. You look away for the game for literally 30 seconds, and the entire family is dead. I am looking forward to going out in the map and seeing what else this world has to offer. That map looked pretty big, so I feel like there's more things out there, more people to meet and bring back into my shelter to also probably kill. So that was my first play of Sheltered. Will there be a second play? Yes, because the boy family is dead. So I need to go find a new family. Wait, Walter died from a snake bite. Oh no! I knew I should have brought the horse.
For the Consouls, a video game, jazz band. Thanks for everyone coming out tonight. Ready?
Yeah, let's kick it, man.
So, who exactly are the Consouls?
The Consouls started off as 6 friends. There's me, Jonathan, Timothy, Anthony, Mark, and Dean. And finally, we've come together to combine our love of games and music, so we're a video game jazz band. Myself and 2 other members kind of connected through playing at jazz bands at our own schools. The others we met throughout gigging amongst other musicians, and some we've met through just playing games.
So, first of all, why jazz?
I think deep down amongst the whole band, we've always had a love for the genre. It's a style of music that really pushed us musically as well and allowed us to mature as a band as well. We all played video games as children, and even now we're still playing video games. We wanted to try something that was really special to us, so we wanted to try playing video game music because I think it's something that should be shared across the world. Every piece of music that we arrange ourselves has a different approach. Sometimes one of the members may start off with a skeleton, write out what is close to the original, but in a very simple form that come the rehearsal, we can mess around, put our own spin to it. But other times we compare our music to other jazz classics and say, hey, we want to figure out how to make it swing like Herbie Hancock and try to make a song that way.
What are some of the influences you guys have, both musically and in the video game world?
For jazz, being a piano player, there's pianists like Oscar Peterson, Bill Evans, people who inspire my personal sound. But in the video game world, there are quite a few of us in the band who resonate well with Nobuo Uematsu, the composer for Final Fantasy, Yasunori Mitsuda, the composer for Chrono Trigger, and a lot of the Japanese composers. I think if ever we got a chance to collaborate or, get an opportunity to play with someone from Square Enix, it would be, a dream come true. It's fun in the sense that, there's a lot of people within our musical network that we perform outside of the consoles. So we've got vocalists, we've had percussion players, and eventually it'd be nice to have, a consoles gang of friends who'd come and play different things with us and try different songs.
And which covers have been the most successful?
Our biggest hits was Battlefield or anything from Street Fighter, because both me and Jonathan actually have a little bit of a background in competitive gaming. So there's a community that, we've catered to, and quite a few of them have latched on. I think those two have done really, really well for the band in terms of YouTube. Live, when people hear Mario, they'll start freaking out. We love what we're doing. We also want to venture further, maybe try our own music. We'd love to play on a video game soundtrack, spread the music across maybe outside of Australia even. We'd love to hit up America or Japan and see where the music can take us from there. There's people who just at the end of the day love video games so much. There's also people who really love jazz, and that ties into the live scene where I see in the demographic, I look in the crowd whenever I play, there'd be people who are purely musicians or people who have never really been to a music concert or a live venue before. So it's really humbling to see people of all these different character traits come together for video games and music.
All right, Bajo, let's take a long walk through some dangerous lands.
Are we there yet?
Where's lunch?
The Banner Saga 2 is an indie turn-based strategy game with a strong narrative focus. The first game was crowdfunded and created by a trio of former BioWare developers, and you can certainly see their influence and experience in the choice-consequence narrative style.
These games also have a very different feel to other turn-based strategy games out there. This single-player sequel takes place right after the last game, so if you finish that, it'll pick up your save file and take into account all of the choices you've made and who lived and who died.
If you didn't finish the first game though, it doesn't matter, you just pick a leader and then start your long walk to the human capital city. And it is a very long walk. Along the way, you'll attempt to keep your army together against an evil force known as the Stone-Armored Dredge. They're pillaging the land, the world is in chaos, and there's also a giant mountain-breaking serpent who isn't helping.
One of the first things you notice about the game is the beautiful hand-drawn Disney-style animations and cutscenes.
Oh, they're just so lovely, aren't they?
Yeah, and I love the fantasy Viking setting too. The animation is a bit dreamlike and reminded me of the cartoons I grew up with.
Overall, there aren't that many of these cutscenes, but I think there's enough. They add a good flavour to the game, and they really paint the picture of this world.
Yeah, I think there's quite a clear focus on story and dialogue in this game that really made it feel like a true saga, and it's not something that turn-based games usually focus on.
True. There is this war going on with this mysterious and dark enemy. The Dredge are massive in number. And they're terrifying, and whenever a new one pops up, you're always like, oh no, what's this guy gonna do? And it's always awful.
I quite like the ancient stone creature design of the dredge, and all the creatures you come up against are well designed. They've successfully built a fascinating and well-rounded universe, and that's no easy feat when almost all of the action takes place on small grids.
There's also horse people. Weird centaur-like beasts that don't speak very much or wear very many clothes. Where would the pants go on them anyway, though, Hex?
I mean, no one can know for sure, Bajo. Battles are broken up with you leading a caravan across a huge map, all to the dark melodies created by BAFTA and Grammy Award-winning composer Austin Wintory. At times, you'll need to make camp to improve morale, which affects fights. And if you start to run out of supplies, people will start dying. Managing the people and the supply stocks of this caravan is half the game, and it's where most of the story events spring up.
Yeah, and these little interactions will force you to make some serious role-playing decisions. I was surprised at how fun and intense these were, Hex. And the best part is all these decisions have a real impact on your journey. Some might start a fight, others might help you get across a rickety bridge without losing anyone, or you might choose to sacrifice some supplies to put up barricades in a fight. Or you might sacrifice time to find a rare item.
You're always making choices in and out of the battlefield, and each decision feels like a real test of your reasoning. You need to really pay attention or face the consequences. I have to say, in a game like this, I didn't expect to have so many tense, stressful moments just worrying about what effect my dialogue choices would have.
Yeah, it's nail-biting stuff, especially as you're just watching your group walk along like lemmings.
Yeah, you just know something bad's gonna happen.
This feels so much like a choose-your-own-adventure book.
Yeah, although instead of keeping your fingers in the previous pages so that you can go back and make a different decision, you can just reload an old save file.
That's cheating, Hex. You're a cheater. I did it all the time. There's only minimal voice acting, and I did find that made it a little hard to keep up with all the characters and what their motivations were, but I still enjoyed these stories and interactions so much. It's hardcore RPG stuff, and when you make a decision that costs lives, you'll be kicking yourself.
Yeah, you'll also be kicking yourself a lot in combat because there is a lot to get your head around. If you played the last game, you'll have a leg up, of course, but if not, the first thing you need to get used to is positioning. Many of your bigger, tougher units take up 4 squares on the map. It can be very easy to block off your own soldiers, and that can cost a match.
Yeah, the combat system is really quite unique. Units have an armor rating and a health rating, but health also equals your strength. So if a unit has low health, it's not going to do much damage. Also, you can't damage a unit's health strength very effectively if they have heaps of armor. It's a bit hard to explain, but the point is you're always making decisions about whether to go for direct damage or go to take out armor so you can get other units to take out the enemy in 1 or 2 hits. Each move just has so much to think about.
Yeah, such as when to use willpower, for example, which you spend to increase your movement distance or the power of an attack. It's a fun mechanic, and you quickly learn to manage willpower very carefully and not just rush into fights.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to let the enemies come to you. Even after spending heaps of time with this game, I'm still trying to work out the best strategies and get my head around how to position units right. I'm enjoying the whole process though.
Yeah, the tide of battle can turn very quickly. I like that though, it's dynamic and fierce combat with decent stakes. And that's a hard thing to pull off with turn-based games. There is a lot to manage, and when my brain got tired, it was just so hard to keep track of which units did what.
Yeah, I struggled with that too, and I think it's probably because they're not traditional classes. And keeping track of which gear you've put on them and how that affects the battle is tricky as well. It's also tricky working out where you should spend your XP or renown. Do you spend it on items or supplies, or leveling up a bunch of lower level characters, or saving up to level up higher ones?
Oh, it's so stressful. I just want to know that I'm spending my XP wisely, and I'm never sure.
Yeah, me either. In fact, I'm at the point now where I think I might just restart the whole game so I can make a plan. But, you know, kind of much like the caravan itself, you just need to plow on.
I don't like it. But I don't like all these humans on the verge of panic either.
This is a hard slog. It's not meant to be easy.
Yeah, I think you just really need to make a leveling plan early on, especially if you want to play on hard. There are more maps this time around too, which is very welcome as the last game just didn't have enough. Also, now there are more scripted events and unique objectives within the fights themselves, and that also keeps the fights from feeling repetitive.
There's also a lot of support units now which can buff enemies or even redirect damage. They've refined the combat for this sequel, and I think they've made good choices. There are still a few interface quirks that bug me, but overall it's pretty great, and it works well with the controller too. What are you going to give it overall, Hex?
Well, this is a beautiful strategy game, and it is worth taking the time to fully absorb the story because that's how you'll get the most out of it. I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, it's a slow burn, you gotta commit. I'm a big fan of these kinds of strategy games, and I think this is a really unique one in a beautiful world, so I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 stars.
Now stand down, or you'll be missing more than your horns. Stand down, you son of a yacht!
So did you name the game for this week? It was Far Cry 3. Playing as American Jason Brody, this first-person shooter had you trapped on the deadly Rook Island, fighting for your life and trying to rescue your friends. And it's unnamed the game for this week because it features the voice of actor Julian Casey as Bambi Buck Hughes, who was also the narrator on this week's story's Path of Destinies.
Next week on the show, you won't believe this, but we're going to review a game on the PlayStation Vita. I know! It's from the makers of Guacamelee and it's called Severed. Plus, we do a barrel roll in Star Fox Zero. Before we go, we just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who came out to see us at Good Game Live at the comedy festivals in Sydney and Melbourne over the last few weekends. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's such a blast, and it was so nice to see so many of you come out to celebrate your love of gaming with us.
When my journey began,
Oh, boy.
I landed this job, which was a Final Fantasy. Then discovered that I'd be working with Bajo and realised it was really Oddworld.
So a big thank you for coming out. We appreciate you.
Until next time, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Bajo out.
Just walk with your feet. One foot in front of the other and stop. Yes, up, 10%. Down, stop, engage. No, yeah, great.